In 1945, as World War II came to an end, Japanese General Tomoyuki Yamashita allegedly buried a treasure worth over $100 billion across Southeast Asia. The largest cache? Hidden somewhere in the jungles and caves of Indonesia. 79 years later, nobody has found it, but people are still dying, trying. To understand this mystery, we need to go back to 1942. Japan had just conquered a massive portion of Asia. From Burma to the Philippines, Japanese forces systematically looted the wealth of every nation they occupied. Gold bars, precious gems, religious artifacts, and ancient treasures were seized from banks, temples, and palaces. This wasn't random theft. It was organized plunder on an industrial scale, overseen by a secret unit called the Golden Lily. Their mission: strip Asia of its wealth and ship it back to Japan. But by 1945, Allied forces controlled the seas. Shipping the treasure back to Japan was impossible. So General Yamashita, commander of Japanese forces in Southeast Asia, made a desperate decision. He would hide it. According to legend, Yamashita ordered his engineers to dig elaborate tunnel systems and caves across the Philippines and Indonesia. The treasure would be buried deep underground, booby-trapped, and sealed. Yamashita planned to retrieve it after the war. He never got the chance. Yamashita was captured, tried for war crimes, and executed in 1946. And the location of the treasure died with him. Or so they say. While most treasure hunters focus on the Philippines, Indonesia has always been part of the story, and for good reason. During the war, Indonesia was one of Japan's most valuable colonies. It provided oil, rubber, and strategic military bases. If you were hiding the wealth of Asia, Indonesia's remote jungles and volcanic cave systems would be the perfect location. Several sites across Indonesia have been linked to Yamashita's gold. In Sulawesi, local legends speak of Japanese soldiers forcing villagers to dig tunnels in the mountains, then executing the workers to keep the location secret. In Sumatra, there are reports of hidden caves marked with Japanese symbols, guarded by elaborate traps. And in Java, multiple expeditions have claimed to have found evidence of underground chambers using ground-penetrating radar. But every time they start digging, something goes wrong. Equipment fails, funding runs out, or people die under mysterious circumstances. In 2008, a group of Indonesian treasure hunters claimed they'd located a massive underground vault in central Java using metal detectors. They said the readings indicated thousands of tons of gold just 20 meters below the surface. They started digging. Then the tunnel collapsed, killing 3 workers. The site was abandoned, and the exact location was never disclosed. Some call it bad luck. Others call it a curse. Over the decades, dozens of people have died searching for Yamashita's gold in Indonesia. Cave-ins, tropical diseases, unexplained accidents. The pattern is unsettling. One of the most famous hunters was a Filipino man named Rogelio Roxas, who claimed in the 1970s that he'd actually found part of Yamashita's treasure in the Philippines, including a solid gold Buddha statue. He said the treasure was stolen from him by the Philippine government under Ferdinand Marcos. Roxas spent years in court fighting to get it back. He won the case in 1996 but died shortly after. The gold was never recovered. His story inspired thousands of treasure hunters to search across Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. But here's where it gets complicated. Many historians are skeptical that Yamashita's gold even exists. They point out that there's no solid documentary evidence from Japanese military records. No photographs, no confessions from Japanese soldiers who allegedly buried it. Just rumors, deathbed confessions, and treasure maps sold to gullible foreigners. The Philippine and Indonesian governments have both officially stated that if such a treasure existed, it would belong to the state, not to private treasure hunters. This has created a gray market of illegal excavations, often funded by wealthy investors who believe the legend. So, where does the truth lie? In 2012, the History Channel aired a documentary series called The Hunt for Yamashita's Gold that followed treasure hunters in the Philippines. They used sophisticated equipment, interviewed local witnesses, and explored tunnel systems. They found evidence of Japanese excavation work. They found man-made tunnels, but no gold. In Indonesia, the search continues quietly. In 2019, a team of international archaeologists announced they'd been granted permission by the Indonesian government to explore several cave systems in Sulawesi using LIDAR technology. Their findings were never made public. As recently as 2023, Indonesian news outlets reported on illegal treasure hunting operations being shut down by police. The hunters had been digging in protected forest areas, convinced they were close to finding Yamashita's cache. The Indonesian government maintains that Yamashita's gold is nothing more than a myth. But they continue to prosecute treasure hunters, suggesting they at least consider the possibility that something might be out there. So does Yamashita's gold actually exist? The truth is, we may never know. If it does exist, it's hidden somewhere in thousands of miles of jungle, in a country with countless unexplored caves and volcanic tunnels. Finding it would require extraordinary luck, advanced technology, and permission from a government that doesn't want it found. But the legend persists, because the human desire to believe in buried treasure is stronger than logic. And as long as people keep searching, the mystery of Yamashita's gold will remain one of Indonesia's greatest unsolved enigmas. If you found this story fascinating, let me know in the comments. Should I cover more of Indonesia's hidden mysteries? And if you were a treasure hunter, where in Indonesia would you start looking? Until next time, stay curious